Positive mantras don't work. And they don't work because people pick positive mantras that they don't believe. So if you are in a studio apartment eating rice and beans, barely able to pay your bills, standing in front of a mirror and saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. What happens based on research is your brain's like, actually, have you seen where you live? Like, have you seen that you've quit every job that you've had? Your brain has a great bull detector. The mistake people make is they pick a mantra that is the exact opposite of the way they treat themselves. It wants action. Behavioral activation therapy. Act like the person you say you want to be, and then maybe I'll believe you. Instead of, I love my body, after trashing your body for 20 years, say, I deserve to be healthy. Even if you hate your body, anybody and any brain can get behind, yeah, you do. That's right. I'm glad you're waking up. You do deserve to be healthy. Now prove it. Let's take some actions that show you that.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because when I started my first business, I really struggled to believe in myself. I was making $300 a month and quit on my business partner. And the thing that saved me was watching the stories of successful entrepreneurs. They gave me strategies as well as hope and belief that just maybe I could do it myself as well. And I hope that this video here today helps you get a little bit more belief in yourself, because I still need the videos for myself today too. So today, let's learn how you can leverage the law of attraction. Enjoy.
So no, mantras don't work if you're picking a mantra you don't believe, and if you're picking a mantra that is the opposite of the way you treat yourself and the actions you take. So that's number one. Number two, manifesting. Everybody has been sold a bill of goods about manifesting. If you make a vision board with your house on the ocean, or you at the stock exchange ringing the bell, and that's all that you have on it, science says that that vision board will become a source of profound discouragement. Because over time, as you sit there and stare at your dream house, or you ring the bell at NASDAQ and nothing in your life changes, you start to feel further and further and further away from what you want, which makes you feel further and further discouraged, which means you're less and less motivated to even begin working on it. Like, the hardest part for everybody is to start. And the reason why is not only the patterns of procrastination and anxiety and stuff that you get trapped in, but it's also because your goals feel so far away that you don't believe that just starting is going to even chip away at it. And so, number one, because it sounds like I just contradicted myself. Yes, you need to have something like a beach house, or the NASDAQ bell, or the business you're starting, or the love affair of your life, or the family you've always envisioned, or the health that you've always dreamt about. Absolutely. Swing for the fences. What do you want it to look like 10 years from now? But when it comes to manifesting based on science, I want you to think as manifesting as a bridge. Manifesting is a bridge that's made of bricks between you and the thing that you dream about. And what you do when you manifest is you don't manifest where the bridge is going. You manifest the bricks. So a great example is a marathon. So let's say that you've never run a day in your life, but your bucket list is to complete the London Marathon. Yes, you can put on your vision board a photograph of a runner crossing the London Marathon. You can even put the dream that you have in terms of the number that you want the time to be, okay? But you better put a runner in the rain up there. You better put an alarm clock that says 4:30 in the morning, because that's what time you're going to have to get up in order to get your training runs in. You better put a runner that's gripping their leg like this when they get a muscle cramp. You better put up, a vision of you at mile 13 and your earbuds run out and you still got 2 more miles to go. Visualization is the bricks. And so what I want you to do when you visualize is, instead of visualizing, the marathon, I did it, oh, it's amazing. And then you open up, you're like, okay, and I still have not even bought a pair of sneakers. That's not happening, but that was a fun little exercise. No, what you do is you literally visualize, walk into the store and get sneakers. Call your friend who runs and ask for advice. Oh my God, that's me on my first training run. I've only gone 30 seconds and I'm out of breath. Oh, there I am running 3 miles in the rain, and I feel proud of myself because I've actually gone out in the rain. Oh, there I am saying no to my friends. I can't go out tonight because I didn't get my run in, but I'm going to go on my big run alone. That, like, you visualize the annoying, irritating, amazing things. I'm sure people look at you all the time with your extraordinary success, Stephen, and are like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And like, do you know how many things I missed out on? Do you know how many, like the amount of work that nobody wants to do because they're not thinking about it is extraordinary. That's the bridge. Anybody is capable of achieving anything. I actually believe that because I think human beings are designed to change. You're capable of breaking any pattern. You're capable of getting control of your health. You're capable of launching a business. You're capable of making millions of dollars. You're capable of healing your trauma, of finding love, of doing absolutely anything that you put your mind to, as long as you are willing to do the work for it and as long as you give up your timeline. Because I do believe that people who put in the work get rewarded. But you just might not get rewarded when you think you're going to be. And it might not be the reward that you thought you were going to get.
Is that the case in your life?
It's always the case. And that's why I always have big dreams. Because I have learned time and time and time and time again, especially in entrepreneurial ventures, that you put this huge flag out there. You write the business plan, you set the goals, and then you put your head down and you put in the work. And you ride the wave and you have the disappointments and you spend the late nights and you have the heartbreak and the heartache, and then things change. And then you think, this didn't work out and I got betrayed and why didn't they recognize me? And damn it, I've worked hard and now I got to start all over. And you have all of that. But if you keep going and you keep going, eventually you will look up one day and be like, holy shit, this is exactly what I was meant to do and what I was meant to discover. Yeah, my business plan said I was supposed to go over here. And I ended up over here because this is what I was supposed to do. But without this business plan, I never would have gotten started. The business plan was but a dot on the map of my life, connecting me to where I'm meant to go. You know, I think one of the most extraordinary things that has happened to me in this past year, especially now that I have this real partnership with myself, where I have a level of trust that through my attitude, through my actions, through a sense of faith, that it's going to turn out. That even when things are really hard, I still believe deep in my core that through my attitude and my actions, it's going to be okay. That I have within me the power to ride the ups and downs and to come out on the other side of it. And you know, I think that we've all had the experience, Stephen, of being able to look backwards and say, whoa, you know, I wouldn't ever wish the experience that I had back in 4th grade on anybody. But without that experience, I would not be able to help the amount of people that I help. I would not be able to understand trauma as a lived experience, and inside and out and at a layer that's so deep because it is an experience that I had in my life. Without 25 years of struggling with anxiety, without having 2 kids that have struggled with anxiety, I would not know what I know about anxiety and be able to help people, including my own children. I would not, without having made mistakes, with my kids and their anxiety, be able to tell parents, do not do this because I did this and it made my kids' anxiety worse and I didn't even know. And so I can see how everything from, working as a public defender to being a legal commentator from CNN to the number of stages that I've been on to the number of people that I've helped, I can see how all of that comes together to help me do what I need to do in this moment. And I think one of the most powerful things that you can cultivate when you cultivate partnership with yourself is being able every single day to have a level of trust in your life, in the magic of things, in yourself, to know that this moment right now is also a dot on the map of your life. And 5, 10, 20 years from now, you will look back on this moment and you will know exactly why this happened. And why it happened is it was preparing you for something. It was giving you a skill or an experience or some wisdom or a relationship that you're going to need for something extraordinary that's coming. And when you believe that, it gives you the strength to face absolutely anything.
Rule number 2 is manifest effortlessly with Rhonda Byrne.
What's the difference between, I guess, there's still a level of needing to master your craft though, right? Like you became a great producer and a director and creator. That doesn't come after 2 days of not working on your craft, right? Because you worked on your craft for a decade or two until you had the skill set, the knowledge, the wisdom to then put out what you needed to.
You're still doing things. And this is the thing, because being effortless doesn't mean you're not doing things. What it means is there's no effort in what you're doing. So so you're still doing things, but it's effortless. Like you were still working out, but it was effortless. And so, because the minute you feel like you're struggling, that's the mind and that's the ego stepped in, and then it's not flowing, and people will find when they're struggling, there's that goes wrong and then that goes wrong and that goes wrong. And so you still do things. And I still did all of those things. Like before The Secret, I did everything with effort, full effort, 1000%.
Hard work, full effort. Yeah.
Total queen of effort.
And you were lacking abundance and you were lacking big results. And
yeah. And so now I do, I sat down to do this book. This book was absolutely effortless.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. The most effortless book that I have written, for sure. I mean, amazing, really amazing. And so when I was writing I wrote The Secret in 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks?
Because it just wow. Because I'd made the documentary, I'd done all these practices. I knew what I wanted to share, all of the things that I wanted to share in The Secret. And so, we spent, about 6 weeks in the editing process of it, but it just came like a rush. And that 2.5 weeks was effortless. And when I did this book, it was effortless. And there have been books that I've gone to write where it's been a lot of effort.
Really?
Yeah. And I just have to stop, because I remember I wrote a book and I never published it, and it was all effort, and it was
forcing it. You were
forcing it. And so then what you're writing about is you're just writing a whole lot of recycled stuff that the mind is turning up, and you are not receiving things from beyond the mind, and you want to have things beyond the mind. That's why when you're an athlete and that flow and everything, that's because the mind has stopped, it's gone to the background, and now you're beyond the mind. And when you're beyond the mind, anything's possible.
Rule number 3 is use the power of Sankalpa with Deepak Chopra.
These days, of course, everyone's talking about intention, fulfillment of desire, manifestation, etc. So I thought I'd share with you what some of the wisdom traditions have taught us about manifestation. And from their teachings of non-duality, we can see that all manifestation is really a differentiation of pure consciousness, which is infinitely creative and is infinite and formless and irreducible and timeless and spaceless and unimaginable and inconceivable. But when intention is orchestrated from that level, then it organizes its own fulfillment. That level is also called Sankalpa, or a combination of Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. But let me explain it in simple English. So here are the 6 steps, I think. Number 1, a certain outcome is intended. Number 2, the intention is specific and definite. The person is certain about what he or she wants. Number 3, little or no attention is paid to the details of the physiological processes involved. Indeed, paying attention to the details inhibits the flow of the impulses of intelligence that produce the outcome, slowing down or preventing success. In other words, the person takes an attitude of non-interference, no resistance to existence. Number 4, the person expects a result and has confidence in the outcome. There is no anxious attachment or grasping to a result. However, if you're anxious about falling asleep, for example, that prevents the very outcome you desire. Worry, uncertainty, and doubt are the 3 primary obstacles that prevent us from making efficient use of the power contained in Sankalpa or intention. The power is still there, but we turn it against itself when we interfere. In other words, when you doubt that a desire will come true, essentially you're sending out a self-defeating intention, which the field of consciousness computes as canceling out your first desire. Number 5, there's a self-referring feedback loop involved. In other words, every fulfilled intention teaches you how to fulfill the next intention even better. When the result occurs, it confirms the power of intention at a conscious level. It increases confidence and makes success stronger. Okay, so seed the intention, water the seed, and when the season is right, the intention will manifest and the effect will be reinforcing. This changes doubt. So when you do this, when you have Sankalpa and you detach from the outcome, this changes doubt to certainty. People whose desires don't come true also experience feedback, but it reinforces failure. Okay, so feedback is always a result of any intention, whether it succeeds or not, will give you feedback. And you'll notice that that intention, if it doesn't succeed, is because of resistance to existence and absence of flow. Finally, number 6, at the end of the process, there's no doubt that the outcome was obtained by a definite conscious process that extends beyond the individual to a larger reality. For some, this is God, others, providence. But in the non-dual view, it is the self, the absolute self, not the self-image. So I try to use more scientific terms, and the one that I'm using right now is the consciousness field, which is a consciousness energy field. But I don't think we should discard any of the other more traditional spiritual names. In all cases, the material world is an expression of an unmanifest overriding intelligence that responds to human desire. The 6 steps that I just shared with you are the most important characteristic of inner intelligence. It has organizing power built into it. The organizing power is the link that connects intention and result. Without it, there could be no cause or effect. The quantum soup would remain chaotic, since without organizing power, there can be no patterns, no orderliness, no natural laws, no physical structures, or biochemical processes.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 4 is use positive affirmations daily with Jack Canfield.
If you have a goal you want to achieve in the year ahead, or if you find it hard to stay focused on doing what you need to do to create the life you want, keep watching this video. because I'm about to share one of my most powerful, successful practices that I have used to achieve my biggest goals in life. And if you commit to using this practice every single day for the next 12 months, I guarantee you will experience huge shifts and you'll achieve goals that you may not think are possible right now. And that success practice is, drum roll, daily affirmations. Now, an affirmation, as you probably already know, is a positive statement that describes your goals as already having been achieved. It only takes a few minutes, but if you say your affirmation out loud a few times every day with a clear and focused mind, while also feeling the feelings you'd be feeling if you'd already achieved that goal, you'll find it so much easier for you to keep your goals top of mind and stay focused and motivated as you work toward making your dreams a reality. So today I'd like to teach you how to create your own daily affirmation practice that you can use to more effortlessly, more quickly, and more efficiently accomplish your goals and manifest your ideal vision of the next 12 months ahead. But first I'd like to tell you about when I first experienced the power of affirmations in my life. And when I was in my 20s, I had a mentor named W. Clement Stone. He was worth $600 million. And he challenged me to set a goal that was so far beyond my current circumstances that it would literally astound me if I achieved it. Now, I still had a lot of self-esteem doubt back then, so it wasn't until a few years later that I actually decided to put his wisdom to the test. I set myself the challenge of making the jump from earning around $25,000 a year to making $100,000 a year or more. And the first thing I did was to create an affirmation for myself, which went like this: God is my infinite supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly and easily under the grace of God, as I'm happily and easily earning, spending, and investing $100,000 a year. Next, I created a huge replica of a $100,000 bill, which I taped to the ceiling above my bed. So when I woke up every morning, I would see this $100,000 bill up there, and that immediately reminded me to remember to repeat my affirmation to myself. And then I would visualize what I would be enjoying if I were living a $100,000 a year lifestyle. I imagined the house I would live in, the artwork and the furniture that would be there, the car I would own, the car that I would drive and what it would sound like, the vacations I would take, and the contributions to charities I would make. I also imagined the feelings I would experience once I'd already attained that lifestyle. And you know what? Not too long after that, I woke up one morning with my first $100,000 idea. I realized that if I sold 400,000 copies of my book that I'd written for teachers called 100 Ways to Enhance Self-Confidence in the Classroom, for which I earned a whole big 25 cents per book royalty, I would earn $100,000 income. So from that point forward, when I did my morning affirmations, and I also did it before I went to bed at night, I added the image of my book flying off bookstore shelves. I'd see the whole window of a bookstore filled with my books, and I imagined the publisher writing me a $100,000 check. Now, not long after, a freelance journalist approached me and wrote an article about my work for the National Enquirer. And as a result, thousands of additional copies of my book were sold that month. And the money-making ideas just kept coming. I took out small ads in magazines and sold the book on my own. We started a little bookstore. So instead of 25 cents, I'm making $3 a copy. Now I only have to sell, 33,000 copies. So basically, I'm selling this book. Then my wife said, we should sell other books. So we started a little catalog. So I have my book. And of course, we made other books and tapes and things that were there back to the days of cassette tapes. And I made even more money. And then the counseling department at the University of Massachusetts, where I was a graduate student, saw my catalog and invited me to sell books at this weekend conference they were putting on for school counselors. Book sales that weekend generated more than $2,000 in 2 days and introduced me to another strategy I could use to achieve my financial goal, which was to become a speaker and conduct workshops and seminars just like I'd seen at the conference and sell books in the back of the room. So I started to book regular speaking and workshop gigs. And then I asked a friend who was doing similar work at the time if I should charge higher fees. And he told me that he was charging more than double what I was being paid for the same work. So I followed his example. I tripled my speaking fees, and as a result of my book sales and the income from my speaking gigs, my income that year skyrocketed from $25,000 to over $92,000. Now I ended up missing my $100,000 goal by almost $8,000, but I was still ecstatic. I'd almost quadrupled my income in less than a year. And I've made at least a six-figure income, often seven-figure income every year since then. Now that's just one example of how I've used affirmations to achieve my big goals in life. Now working with affirmations has also helped me get the idea for creating a billion-dollar brand, writing a New York Times #1 best-selling book. I actually wrote 47 of them. And I now own a vacation home and building one in Costa Rica. I owned one in Maui, Hawaii for a while. I live in a 6,500 square foot house in Santa Barbara. So affirmations are an extremely effective way for you to align your subconscious mind with the life you want to create for yourself. So how do you create an affirmation? Well, you start with the vision of what you want to be, do, or have in your life. So what I'd like you to do is to take a moment, close your eyes right now, and answer these questions, or let an image come into your awareness to answer the question. So the question is, what is your vision for the next 12 months of your life? What goals do you want to accomplish? What would your life look like and feel like once those goals are accomplished? And allow yourself to sit in the experience of that for a moment. Here you are, it's a year from now, you've accomplished all your goals, and you're feeling the success of that, the joy of that, the pride of that, whatever it is. Just for a moment, visualize what that life would look like and what you would be feeling if you'd already accomplished it. Very good. And once that vision is clearly fixed in your head, go ahead and open your eyes. And I want you to write down an affirmation. Let me give you a little what I want, tutoring on how to do that. It's important to remember that it's a positive statement that describes the experience you'll enjoy once you're in the state of already having accomplished that. So be sure to write it in the present tense from the perspective of your future self who've already achieved that goal. For example, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm working in my dream job and doing work I love that's making a positive impact in the world. So it starts with I am. As you can see, I'm describing that experience in the present tense. It's describing what my life will be like and how I will feel once I achieve that ambitious goal. So what's a big goal that you want to accomplish for your life in the next 12 months? And how will you feel once you've accomplished it? Maybe you'll feel happy and grateful like me, or maybe you'll feel strong and confident, or blissful and triumphant. So choose 2 positive and powerful adjectives or feeling words that will describe your state of being once you've achieved that goal for your life. And then write your affirmation something like this. I am so, whatever the feeling is, and the feeling is, now that I have, and then you state the goal as if you've already achieved it. So the example would be, maybe your goal is to run a marathon this year. So your affirmation could be, I'm so happy and proud that I'm now completing my first marathon in under 4 hours. So be sure to make it specific and frame it as a positive statement as opposed to a negative statement. For example, I am so overjoyed and grateful that I'm not in a bad marriage anymore is not going to be good because you've got the word bad marriage in there because it's focused on what you don't want, which is a bad marriage. So make sure you state it positively. For example, I'm so overjoyed and grateful that I'm now experiencing a healthy and loving relationship with someone who deeply appreciates me for who I am. All right, so I encourage you to write an affirmation like this for every big goal you have for yourself this year, and then repeat each of them to yourself out loud every morning, and do it again right before you go to bed. Then after you've finished your affirmation, you've said them, maybe you have 3, 4, 5 of them, close your eyes and visualize yourself experiencing the very reality you've just described. And see the scene as if you're looking out through your eyes, as if you're actually living in it. Don't see you out there. You're looking out at the world you would see if you'd achieved it. Hear the sounds you might hear. It might be applause, it might be the sound of your car, the sound of the ocean lapping up against the front of your beachfront property, and feel the feelings that you'll feel when you achieve that success. The stronger the feelings, the more powerful the experience will be, and the easier it will be for you to keep your goals and your vision top of mind.
Rule number 5 is assess the results with Bob Proctor.
How do you know what vibration or frequency level you're operating at? Because people often judge their performance by their productivity, by their efficiency. We're not trained, as you said, with your paradigm, again, going back to that, we're not trained to observe our frequency and vibration, and people are not sure. So if someone's listening and watching us today, how do they know what their vibration or their frequency is? How do they diagnose that?
Well, I think the only way to do it is by the results you're getting. It'll tell you.
Right. Makes sense.
See, the results do tell the truth. They don't lie. Spirit manifests through its polar opposite, always. We're spiritual beings. Spirit flows to and through us and will do anything for us. Whatever we ask, it'll give us. And we're asking in thought. So what we want to do is take a look. What have I been thinking? Take a look at your results. You'll know what you're thinking. That's how you can tell the frequency you're on. You want to start frequencies, vibrations, feeling. When you say, I feel bad, what you're really saying is, I'm not in a very good vibration. You say, I feel particularly good. You're saying, I'm in a pretty good vibration. Conscious awareness of vibration is referred to as feeling. So I think the way to really understand the frequency and the vibrations you're operating on is by the results you're getting.
Yeah.
And if you're continually having problems in all areas of your life, you're on the wrong vibration, very low level of vibration. And we can change it. Now, I teach that in the seminars. I have ways of illustrating it and everything. And it's important. And as people get into it, they really like it. See, I think when you hear the truth, you'll know it. And I came across, I don't know, it came to me, I guess, I was searching for a way how to explain that. When you hear the truth, you'll know it. Well, there's music in this room right now. There's music in your room. You may not hear it, but we know it's here. It's being broadcast, and it's in the room. And we don't hear it because our ears are not operating on the frequency the music is being broadcast on. But if we turned on a radio, the radio picks up on that frequency, speeds it up to Zippo, way up onto a higher frequency, and we can hear it. Well, it's the receiver on the radio that picks it up, sends it up on a higher level where you hear it. When you hear the truth resonates with the essence of who you are. And when it resonates, it sets up that vibration. It comes out on the conscious level as knowing. You just know. You just know that's right.
Yeah.
When you hear the truth, you'll know. I know it. That's true. Well, that's true when you're reading something. When a person says something to you, you hear it and you just, I know that's not true. I know that is true. It resonates with the essence of there is perfection. Our spiritual DNA is perfect. And when we hear the truth, it's like that's the receiver and it clicks in,
Yeah.
We're pretty fascinating expressions of life, you and I and everybody else. I mean, the beautiful part is, like, I've studied this like a scientist, probably more serious as the time goes on. But for 60 years, starting on the 21st of this past October, this is my 60th year, and I study this every day. I mean, I'm obsessed with this. And at one time that bothered me, but doesn't anymore. And so I just don't stop studying it, and it's so beautiful. Bring that other thing up. It said it bothered me. I used to think, you hear things and you think they're positives or negative. I hear obsession. I thought that was negative. Somebody told me I was obsessed with something, or I thought I was obsessed. But then I got a hold of Lloyd C. Douglas's book, The Magnificent Obsession. And I thought, how could it be negative if it's magnificent?
Yeah.
So I got the dictionary out and I looked the word up. I don't know why I hadn't done it before that. And it says an obsession is the persistent, disturbing preoccupation with an often unreasonable idea. It's a magnificent definition. And I'm obsessed with a beautiful concept. Who am I? That's the obsession.
And rule number 6, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is live with a manifestation mindset with Gabby Bernstein.
I love this. I wrote, manifestation occurs when you shift the dialogue, turn it around, change the conversation, and reach for a vibration that feels good for you, when you feel that energy that feels good for you. This way, you can clear space to share your true gifts and intentions with the world. Change your mind, turn it around, assume a new energy, and share your gifts. So now Bethany's greatly sharing her gifts in that farm center, right? And now greatly sharing her gifts with her coaching clients because she's teaching others how to be inspired. You got that? It's amazing. So to close out my part, I really want to take questions from everybody. So I want to give you the manifestation mindset qualities. What are the qualities of someone who is living with a manifestation mindset? So the first one is that creative capacity to think in an innovative way. So the same way, rather than canceling on Tara, I said, you know what, I'm going to say a prayer. Bethany, rather than thinking she could only make money one way, she just opened up her capacity to think she could maybe make money as a gardener. The creative capacity to think of new things, to think of new opportunities. Your creative mind will say, go on that date with that guy, even though he doesn't seem like the kind of guy you want to go on a date with, and all of a sudden that guy becomes your husband. Your creative mind is your ing. Your creative mind is your spirit. Your non-creative, linear, focused to-do list, this, that, let's make it look like this, that's your ego. That works sometimes for some things, and we need to be practical, we need to look at things. But that ego without your ing is fear. It is fear, it holds you back, it's small, and it keeps you stuck. So we need to begin to bring in that creative capacity to see new directions. The manifestation mind is also faithful. So it's that person who is committed to recognizing, okay, you know what? I have fear. Everybody does. I, Gabrielle Bernstein, have fear. I am committed and faithful to love. Every one day at a time, I commit to love. And the more I commit to love, the more love is all I see. And so one day at a time, I show up and I say, snap that rubber band in my mind. That wasn't working. I forgive myself. I choose to see this differently. Show me what you got. This is my pattern, moment-to-moment faithfulness, faithful to love. Become more faithful to love and miracles than you are to fear and lack. Become more faithful to love and miracles, and you will be living in a manifestation mindset. It doesn't mean that your fears disappear. It doesn't mean that you don't wake up every day with anxiety. It doesn't mean that it's gone immediately, but it does mean that it gets better and better every day. One day you wake up and you say, holy crap, I went through 5 hours this morning without feeling anxious. I spent decades waking up anxious. I spent decades making everybody crazy with my own anxiety. And all of a sudden, one day it was gone because I tirelessly and faithfully committed to love and miracles, and then woke up one day and I wasn't anxious anymore. And that anxiety has never, ever come back. It never came back. Gone. And that's a practice, it's a commitment, and it's faithfulness. So making that fearless commitment one day at a time to witness your fear, choose to change your mind, and pray for a miracle. The miracle is just that shift in perception. The miracle is the moment I said, let's do the show with Tara, got off the show and said, woo, I feel so energized. This is a miracle. That is a miracle. A miracle is the moment that you say, I'm so excited about this date, and you make a new friend. The miracle is the moment that you choose to say, I love the fact that I can pay off my bills, I say a prayer, and then that next day, you know what? You feel good, and you call in that new job. The miracle is that you feel good. The miracle is that you release. And then really groovy stuff occurs because you're always attracting towards you what you are putting out. So if you're vibrating at a released, loving, relaxed way, so much greatness can come towards you in far greater ways than you could ever imagine.
The Newtonian world is all about the predictable. It's all about predicting a future. But the quantum model of reality is about causing an effect. The moment you start feeling abundant and worthy, you are generating wealth. The moment you're empowered and feel it, you're beginning to step towards your success. The moment you start feeling whole, your healing begins. And when you love yourself and you love all of life, you'll create an equal. And now you're causing an effect. And I think that's the difference between living as a victim in your world, saying, I am this way because of this person or that thing or this experience. They made me think and feel this way. When you switch that around, you become a creator of your world, and you start saying, my thinking and my feeling is changing an outcome in my life. And now that's a whole different game, and we start believing more that we're creators of reality.
how do we then go from that, like mechanistically, to begin this visualization process of something that's empowering? It's me in a different state. It's my future self. Is it meditation? Is it, what does that look like?
If you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you're left with the old memories of the past, and you will be predictable in your life. And if you wake up in the morning and you're not being defined by a vision in the future, as you see the same people and you go to the same places and you do the exact same thing at the exact same time, it's no longer that your personality is creating your personal reality. Now your personal reality is affecting or creating your personality. Your environment is really controlling how you think and feel unconsciously, because every person, everything, every place, every experience has a neurological network in your brain. Every experience that you have with every person produces an emotion. So some people will use their boss to reaffirm their addiction to judgment. They'll use their enemy to reaffirm their addiction to hatred. They'll use their friends to reaffirm their addiction to suffering. So now they need the outer world to feel something. So to change then is to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the conditions in your world. And the environment is that seductive. So then why is meditation the tool? Well, let's sit down, let's close our eyes. Let's disconnect from your outer environment. So if you're seeing less things, there's less stimulation going to your brain. If you're playing soft music or you have earplugs in, less sensory information coming to your brain, so you're disconnecting from your environment. If you can sit your body down and tell it to stay like an animal, stay right here. I'm gonna feed you when we're done. You can get up and check your emails, you can do all your texts, but right now, you're gonna sit there and obey me. So then, when you do that properly, and you're not eating anything or smelling anything or tasting anything, you're not up experiencing and feeling anything, you would have to agree with me that you're being defined by a thought, right? So when the body wants to go back to its emotional past, and you become aware that your attention is on that emotion, and where you place your attention is where you place your energy, you're siphoning your energy out of the present moment into the past, and you become aware of that. And you settle your body back down in the present moment, because it's saying, well, it's 8 o'clock. You normally get upset because you're in traffic around this time. And here you are sitting, and we're used to feeling anger, and you're off schedule. Oh, it's 11 o'clock, and you usually check your emails and judge everybody. Well, the body's looking for that predictable chemical state. Every time you become aware that you're doing that, and your body is craving those emotions, and you settle it back down into the present moment, you're telling the body, it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. And now your will is getting greater than the program. And if you keep doing this over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, just like training a stallion or a dog, it's just gonna say, I'm gonna sit. And the moment that happens, when the body's no longer the mind, when it finally surrenders, there's a liberation of energy. We go from particle to wave, from matter to energy, and we free ourselves from the chains of those emotions that keep us in the familiar past. And we've seen this thousands of times. In fact, we can actually predict it now on a brain scan.
Every single thought we have or every sentence we speak is an affirmation. And it's either positive or negative. And it's going out from us and it's creating our experiences. However, when we talk about doing affirmations, what we're talking about is making definite positive statements to create something in our life or to remove something in our life. You see, if you stand there and say, I don't want this job, or I don't want this relationship, or I don't want these hips, or I don't want whatever, that does not get you what you want. That's what I call fighting the negative. And it doesn't do anything but keep what you have that you say you don't want. However, if you start saying and doing affirmations that I have a wonderful new job, or I have this most absolutely marvelous relationship, then you're beginning to create what it is you do want. Affirmations are like planting seeds. And if you think for a moment, when you put a seed in the ground, you do not get instant tomato plant or instant strawberries or instant oak tree. That seed goes in the ground and it has to germinate. That's the first thing, which means it breaks open its little shell and little roots begin to go down and it gets nourishment from the earth. And only then does the first little shoot come up through the ground. Now, when we're doing affirmations, too often people say, well, that isn't $1 million, and they stomp on that first little shoot. They don't give it a chance to grow. Doing affirmations is like planting a seed in the ground, and watering it is like repeating your affirmations. And you just keep doing them, and you keep doing them, and you keep doing them. And it doesn't matter whether you see the results or you don't see the results. And sometimes it just takes time. And too many people will do affirmations for 2 or 3 days and say, see, it doesn't work. You know, if everything happens in the perfect time-space sequence, and we want to trust that and we want to know that. So if you begin to do affirmations for yourself, and I think it's important that we do that on a daily basis, decide what you want and begin to do positive statements in present tense for what you want. You never want to say, I will have or I'm going to have, because if you do that, it keeps it in the future. And remember, if you say, I have a wonderful new apartment, and you're living in a dump, it doesn't mean that this is not a true statement. It means you are planting the seed that will germinate and grow and become the new apartment. So you just keep doing it, no matter where you are. Also, if you're leaving a situation, if you're in a job you don't like, if you're in a relationship you don't like, if you're in a house you don't like, and you want something new, begin to bless with love. Interesting. Bless with love where you are. And know that you're releasing your current situation with love. If it's a job, release it with love to the next person who will be delighted to have it. If it's an apartment, do the same thing. If it's a relationship, release that person with love to happiness which is meaningful to them. And that leaves you free to create and accept happiness that is meaningful to you.
If you expect to achieve your goals, if you expect to reach your potential, if you expect to have your dreams come true, what I'm about to explain to you is mission critical. You must become a master at visualization. Now, for those of you that are like, what the heck is she talking about? I did not sign up for some sort of meditation woo-woo spiritual thing here. Don't worry, this is Mel Robbins. There's always science and research involved in everything that I talk about. So visualization is an extraordinarily powerful skill. And you may have heard of the law of attraction. You may have heard of the word visualization. You may have heard of the word manifesting. I call it seeing signs. So I'm a master at seeing positive signs. I am a master of creating coincidences. I have the world's most incredible luck. You want to know why? Because I understand the science and the skill of visualization. I know that your brain, it is a gigantic detective machine. Your brain is a filter. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence. And that's good news. It's good news when you know how to use it to your advantage. Let me explain. So your brain has a system in it. Here's the technical term. It's called the reticular activating system. It is a network of neurons all up in here. And what is the job of the reticular activating system? It is a filter system. It's basically a system that allows certain information in your brain and it blocks out other information. And guess who programmed that filter? You did. And so did the people from your past. And so if you constantly feel like you're unlovable, guess what? Your reticular activating system is going through the day and it is going to point out every single piece of evidence that confirms that negative belief that you have. If your goal is to improve your self-worth, I want you to visualize what your life looks like and how you're going to feel about yourself when your self-worth has improved. Here's how you're going to do it. So there's two things that you have to do when it comes to visualization. You have to close your eyes. Truly, I know it sounds stupid, but I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to, in your mind, have a specific picture of what it looks like in your life when your self-worth has improved. You're going to see yourself speaking up at work. You're going to see yourself talking more about your business. You're going to see yourself leaving bad relationships. You're going to see yourself defining boundaries. You're going to see yourself going to the gym. You're going to see yourself taking care of yourself. And when you start to visualize the image of that, I want you to consciously, this is step 2, consciously think of the positive emotions that you're going to feel. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel proud. I'm going to stand taller. I'm going to be so grateful that I made this change. Marrying the specific picture. Oh, there I am. There I am. I'm at work and I'm raising my hand. Amazing. I'm sharing my idea. There I am. I'm getting a promotion. There I am asking for a raise. There I am. I've just signed up another customer to my business. There I am. I've gone back to school. I feel so good about myself. When you do that, here's what's actually happening in your brain. This is the cool science part. You are training your brain to have a totally different filter. You see, your brain, my brain, it doesn't know the difference between something that actually happened to you, like the F you got in your test in 10th grade, and the things you imagine that are happening to you. Let me say that again. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the bad things that actually happened to you, the real memories that you have, and an imagined memory that you're creating. Your brain will experience you visualizing going to the gym, you visualizing how happy you feel when you do, you visualizing asking for that raise and getting it and how proud you're going to feel. Your brain, when you visualize in the way that I'm teaching you to, it encodes it as a real memory. And that's important. Because when you encode it as a real memory, it changes the filter system, that reticular activating system. And here's what we know based on research. The more you visualize things, number one, the greater your confidence is going to be, the greater security you're going to have about it. And here's the really cool thing. The more you do this with your goals, you wake up every day and you just visualize. It takes 30 freaking seconds, for crying out loud. You visualize having a great day at school. You visualize curing your panic and how proud you're going to be. What studies suggest and have proven is that simply visualizing yourself doing things actually develops the skill and helps you improve the skills, just as if you were actually doing it. The problem with passion is that you and I have bought into this massive fantasy world where we think that passion is a person or a place or a thing, that somehow, like a needle in a needle in a haystack, that you are somehow just going to stumble into the thing and you're going to find that one person, or you're going to find that one thing that you're meant to do, or you're going to find that career. And honestly, we got to change the way that you think about passion and purpose before you will actually be able to bring it into your life. Because the truth is, passion isn't in a person, it isn't in a place, and it isn't in a thing. It's something inside of you. And when you flip the definition of what passion is, and when you actually understand what you're looking for when you say, I want to discover my passion, then you'll be able to create more of it in your life. I started thinking about luck because for a long time in my life, I started to think that luck was for other people, that luck was just one of those things that if you were lucky enough to be born with luck, you won the lottery, you got the job you wanted, your family got along. And the truth is, there's a tremendous amount of science behind luck, that luck is something that you can make for yourself, that you can become luckier based on the things that you do and the things that you think about. And one of the things about lucky people is a lot lot of lucky people make their luck because they have trained themselves to think optimistically. And one small trick that you can use in your life that is free, you can do it today, is when you go to bed tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to write down one thing that happened today that was good. That's it. Every night before you go to bed, I want you to write down one thing that happened today that's good. In fact, let's do it right now. In the comments, go to the comments and tell me one thing that has happened today that you can think of that's good. Just one thing. Maybe you got up on time. Maybe you didn't have traffic today on the way to work. Maybe you haven't fought with your kids this morning. Maybe you got to the gym. Maybe you woke up and for the first hour of the day, you didn't make yourself wrong. All of those things, while they're really little, don't dismiss them, because those are things that are good. And the reason why I want you to start a practice where every night before you go to bed, or if you don't want to do it at night, do it in the morning, every night before you go to bed, write down one thing that happened today that was good. The reason why you're doing this is you are training yourself to start to spot the good. Believe it or not, training yourself to start to look for the good in your life fundamentally trains your mind away from looking at the negative, so that you start seeing this thing that's positive about your life versus that thing that's negative about your life. You're never, ever, ever, ever going to feel like doing the things you need to do in order to have what you want. You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. So what is the net advice on this? What is the bottom line? The bottom line is no one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. And because you're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now or that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not. We're not wired that way. You weren't born that way. You weren't that way when you were growing up, and you're certainly not that way as an adult. And there's a tremendous amount of liberation that comes when you accept the fact that you're always going to need to give yourself a push. The truth is, if you want control in your life, if you want to make things happen, you have to be able to expect that you're going to get a no and do it anyway. So what do I mean when I say, if you want control, expect a no? Well, there's a couple things that I mean by it. Number one, if you're somebody that gets paralyzed because you want things to be perfect, perfectionism is a way that most of us try to handle or mitigate or make sure that we don't hear no. We assume that if we're perfect, everything's going to go okay. And so we spend all of our energy thinking about our dating profile or thinking about the business plan or thinking about how to make things perfect. And the reason why we do that is we're terrified to hear no. We're terrified to put something out there that's not perfect, because if it's not perfect, you might get a no. One of the better ways to handle this is to actually expect a no. You know, I saw the most incredible quote by our friend Faustina over in Australia. She's a very famous DJ and friend of ours from Australia. And she put out the most amazing quote, and I'm going to get it totally wrong. But it's something like this: you have to be yourself, because how else are the people who are looking for you going to find you? And I think particularly when it comes to dating, what we tend to do is we are so afraid of being rejected by anybody out there that we try to be somebody that we're not, that we put out a fake, improved, or what we think is improved version of ourselves in order to not hear no. And most of us pretend to be somebody that we're not when we fear rejection, when we believe that how we are or who we are isn't good enough. And so that's why it's so important for you to understand that you have to be willing to hear a no. You have to be willing to hear a no from the wrong people, so that the people that are looking for you can find you, so that the people who want to be part of your business can be part of your business. If you're putting a fake person out there or a pretend perfect person out there because you think that's gonna save you from rejection, you're actually screwing yourself over. You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. You see, all habits have three parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger is always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief. The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never gonna get rid of the stress in your life, but you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work. So next time that you're in a situation where you feel yourself hesitate, you spent way too much time checking out the highlights from last night's scores, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go, oh, I must be stressed out about something. Acknowledge the stress. Then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to count to yourself because I want you to interrupt the habit that's stored here, and I want you to awaken your prefrontal cortex. Then I want you to just work, just for 5 minutes. The reason why I want you to only work for 5 minutes is because your problem isn't working. It's the habit of avoiding. I just need you to start. And here's the other cool thing. We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going. Do it anyway is a mindset trick that you can use when you start to feel excuses rolling up. It works a lot like the 5-second rule. So you have said to yourself, okay, I'm going to talk to my boss today about that thing that I've been avoiding talking to them about. Or maybe you've said something like, I'm going to go to the gym today or tomorrow or whatever. And then the moment comes where you've got to have that conversation. Or the moment comes where it's time to pack up your bag and leave your desk and go to the gym. And what always happens? You don't feel like it. I bet there are plenty of you watching that have made a commitment that, I'm not gonna have a drink tonight. And then guess what happens when you get home? You don't feel like not drinking, you feel like having a drink. And so here's what do it anyway has done for me. The idea that I just do it anyway has pushed me to realize and to recognize that there are a lot of moments where there are things in my life that I really want to do, I need to do, I should do, but when the moment comes, I don't feel like it. And so I pull out this idea of, you know what, I'm just gonna do it anyway. It's raining outside, I said I would go for a short run, I don't feel like it, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm tired, it's cold, I laid out my yoga clothes, but now I don't feel like it. What do? I do it anyway. When you start to say to yourself, I'm gonna do it anyway, what happens is something really cool. You acknowledge that there are feelings that you have that are trying to swoop in and hijack you. You acknowledge them and you basically say, guess what? I'm gonna do it anyway. The one person that is diminishing your ability to make these dreams a reality is you. Because when you state your dream, this is what happens. You state it, and then all of a sudden you're present to how far away you are from it. And when you see the distance between where you are and where you want to go, the direction that your dream requires you to walk in, you're gonna get present to the gap. And that scares us. That's where fear comes into play, and you start to think of all the reasons why you don't deserve it. You start to think of all the reasons why you can't do it. All that you have to do in order to start to pursue your dreams is take small actions every day that align your life in that direction. So what does that mean if you want to play guitar professionally? It means that you start playing guitar more. It means that you sign up for open mic nights. It means that you go back to class if that's something that interests you. You see, your dreams will happen either because of you or in spite of you. They don't happen because of other people. They happen because of you and what you do. The second you have the bravery to state that dream, now are you going to create it or are you going to diminish it in your mind? Here's your new definition of passion. Passion is simply energy. That's all that it is, okay? Passion is what you feel when you are energized and excited about what you're doing, okay? I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to think about a moment in time when you felt incredibly passionate about something, okay? And why don't you in the comments tell me where are you watching from, and tell me about a moment in time when you felt incredibly passionate about what you were doing, about where you were, about the people that you were with. Describe that moment for me, because when you start to really investigate passion as energy, this is what you're going to discover. Those moments when you were super passionate, like I'm sure my kids would write down when they're doing community theater with all their friends. I would write down whenever I'm doing any kind of creative project with my team, I'm incredibly energized. Whenever I'm doing group exercise stuff, climbing a mountain, doing a 5K race, doing some sort of walkathon, I'm incredibly energized by that. Whenever I'm doing some sort of creative project, incredibly energized by that. Whenever I'm working with our video team, incredibly energized by that. Whenever I am coaching someone or giving advice, I am incredibly energized by that. And so what I want you to understand is that if you look back on your life, you have had moments where you have felt passion. Now, I'm being very deliberate in how I'm talking this morning on Coffee Talk because passion is a huge topic for so many of you. And you've been so focused on trying to figure out what job is going to make me passionate. What job is my passion? What is my purpose on the earth? I'm going to tell you what your purpose on earth is right now. Your purpose on earth is to figure out how to align your life so that you feel more energized and excited by it. That's it. And it begins with you following the energy and following your natural enthusiasm. You're not going to think your way to passion. You can't think your way to finding something that you feel in your heart. It doesn't work that way. You got to feel your way into it. It's inside of you. Do you understand? There's no passion out there somewhere. The passion is in here. And so what you have to do first is you've got to stop thinking that you're going to find it somewhere. And you've got to realize that passion is about unlocking something that's already in you. You born, you're home, and then we go to kindergarten, and then you go to first grade, and then you go to second grade, and then you go to third grade, and then you go to fourth grade, and then you go to fifth grade, and then you go to middle school, and then you go to high school, and then there's the pressure to go to college or to a tech school or to do something else, and then you get your job, and then you're in your job, and then you meet somebody, and then you get married, and then you're supposed to buy the house, and then you're supposed to have the kids, and maybe you get the dog before the kids or after the kids, but then you have a second kid, and then you have the 0.5 kid, because most of us do 2.5 kids, and then we get the home equity line, and then we put the kitchen addition on, and then it's like our entire lives are set out in this linear progression as people chase the dream.
The next, yeah.
And particularly for those of us who are triggered by the fear of losing control, it's only natural to anchor your feeling of being in control to chasing the next thing. And so not only are we all socialized to believe that we're supposed to climb this ladder, we're supposed to do things in a linear progression, we're supposed to get to the next thing. Yeah. We've also been marketed to by society that we'll be happier if we have a new car. We'll be happier if we have a better dishwasher. We'll be happier if we have the skin lotion that's got the almond scent. And we're also psychologically anchoring our sense of control and our sense of happiness on achieving those things. And what you're experiencing is no different than what millions and millions and millions of us experience. And that's that emptiness that you feel when you buy the lotion that smells like almond butter and it doesn't make you happy. Or you get the promotion and you have an extra $100 in your paycheck after taxes, and it means you can buy the $14 Chardonnay, not the $10 Chardonnay, and it doesn't make you happy. And the reason why is the I'll be happy when life, the chase the carrot life, the get to the next thing life, that form of happiness requires you to be driving, let's use the car analogy again, to be going 60 miles an hour at all times. And happiness is achieved through a different formula. It happens when you're sitting at the light and you're idle. When you're in the moment doing things that make you happy. And that's being with people that you care about. It's engaging in experiences that make you happy. And it's working on things that are important to you.
What you believe about yourself is the only thing that matters. At the end of the day, no matter how much outside affirmations you get or other people telling you that you're amazing, if you don't believe in your heart that you are amazing, none of that will last. Like, have you ever gone to an event, or you ever made a video or created something, or you're hanging out with a friend and they tell you how amazing you are, and that feels good, right? Like the external affirmations and validation feels great, but then it fades. That stuff doesn't last. You don't have somebody being a cheerleader for you every day, showing up in your bedroom saying, hooray, go do this, you're amazing, right? We don't have that. You have to be that for yourself. If you're constantly only getting your value as a human being from other people when they tell you that you're amazing, you're never going to love your life. You're never going to love yourself. It has to come from you. It has to come from you telling yourself and you believing that you are amazing. Well, okay, so that's a lot of words. How do you actually go off and do it? I think for me, this is why I believe that lack of belief is the world's #1 problem. You know, I can go and meet somebody and fill them full of belief for a moment, but if they still don't believe in themselves, and they're going home back to a life that they had before because they don't believe in themselves enough. And so you have to design habits and routines and systems and schedules to slowly shift your belief in yourself forward every single day. And a good chunk of that is what you say about yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you say? When you think about yourself, what do you say? A lot of the stuff that we say about ourselves, we wouldn't say to our worst enemies. It's rough. I actually think it's great to be your own worst critic. I think it's great. Honestly, I think for a lot of people, we're not hard enough on ourselves. Let me stick with me for a minute. We're not hard enough on ourselves because in order to get to where you want to go, you actually need to push yourself more. The problem is why we can't do it is we don't love ourselves enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader enough. You have to balance those two things. We're very hard on ourselves, but because there's no self-love, we're not cheering ourselves on enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader. You can't handle it. Most people are already at the breaking point, like I'm sitting here in a parking lot, these, those, I guess it's kind of blurry. You can't really see them, but people hate their lives. They're barely hanging on. Most people are barely hanging on. We're barely hanging on to what we're doing. We can post all these great things on Instagram or wherever and make it look like we're enjoying our life, but most people are barely hanging on. The people who are judging you for your life and telling you that you suck hate their own lives. They are barely hanging on. So how do we get through it? Well, yes, we can be harder on ourselves, but we need to balance that with more self-love. You have to remind yourself of why you're great, what you're proud of, what you're grateful for. And it has to be consistent. Otherwise, you'll never get to where you want to go. And when you love yourself more, that actually allows you to be harder on yourself. When you love yourself more and you actually feel it, you can push yourself harder. You can be more demanding of yourself because it's not going to push you over the edge because you're not tying your self-worth to you accomplishing that thing. And when you don't accomplish it, you feel like a loser. It's starting from a place of I'm amazing that allows you to be way harder on yourself. When I go to events, a YouTube event, for example, or if I'm talking about anything entrepreneurship or YouTube related, I'm going in thinking I'm kick-ass. And because I feel that, I don't need to say that. Like a lot of times we feel like we need to say that because it's masking an insecurity, right? It's like those people who, we've seen those memes where when people make a little bit of money, they've got all these chains and everything. But then the people who are ultra rich, who have all the money, you look even Jay-Z, like early Jay-Z, you know, he's got all his chains and everything. And now he's like, doesn't care, you know, he's just walking around in a t-shirt and some jeans because he doesn't need to front, because he's just so self-confident now that it doesn't matter. Now it's actually expression instead of masking an insecurity. Most of us are just masking insecurities instead of actually being self-confident. And so when I'm going to an event, if I'm talking about YouTube, I'm walking in feeling amazing, and I don't need to walk around and say, hey, look at me. And it's actually the opposite. I can go up and say, hey, where do I suck? It's my favorite question to ask. Why do I suck? Where do I suck? Can you point it out? If I can find one person to tell me where I suck at something, how my videos suck, my thumbnails suck, I don't believe that they suck, right? I think they're amazing. But because I think they're so amazing, it allows me to go a lot harder on myself. And so people will give their honest opinion and say, hey, here's how I think it could be better. And so I think we need to do that more in our lives. We need to cheer ourselves up more. We need to cheer ourselves on more. So how do we do it? Let me share some practical tips for you to execute. Number 1, music in the morning. Every morning, one of the most important things that I do is I put music on. And it's music that makes me move, makes me dance, there's some songs that if they came on, you would have to move. Right? It doesn't mean that you're up and like dancing through the whole house, going crazy in your underwear first thing in the morning, but something that even if it's just making your head bob, there are songs that if they came on would make your head bob. And you'd probably be singing, maybe not out loud, but singing under your breath, humming a tune along. And be intentional with the lyrics. Because if we're singing out lyrics that are negative, that has a lasting impact. But if you're singing out lyrics that are positive, that also has a lasting impact. So be intentional with music that you put on every day. First, start your day with music. It's the fastest way to change your state, to go from feeling low and tired and just what day is it? What am I doing? I wake up every day like, what day is it? What am I doing today? Yeah, but I demand excellence, and that starts with music, because I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to get into the right state of mind. I can command it whenever I want just by putting on the right song. So be intentional with your music and the lyrics being positive. 2, connect to the work that you're doing and how meaningful it is. So the next thing I'll do is I'll take the dogs out, and then I'll go for what I call a believe walk. And this is probably the most important part of my morning routine, is I go for a believe walk. And it's a minimum of 20 minutes and it's a maximum of an hour. And I'll go for a walk by myself with 20 pounds on my back. I'll go rucking. I'll walk to Tim Hortons usually, get a coffee. You know, this costs $2, 2 something. So if I only had, you know, what's the best money I spend every year? Well, it's the $700 of going on my believe walk and getting the coffee every morning. And I'm thinking about what's my intention for the day. And I'm thinking about what I want to accomplish today and the lives that I want to serve and the people I want to help and what I'm about to do today. And it's a mini celebration where most of the time we wake up like an accident, right? You wake up, you're probably late for something. You immediately look at your phone. What's on your phone? It's other people's demands for your time, other people's emergencies of what they think you should do with your schedule today, right? That's what's in your phone. All the DMs and the emails and the texts and the missed calls and all, it's all other people's agenda for your time. That is not an intentional life. We wake up like an accident and start falling into what other people want us to do today. That's not what you need to do, and you need to protect your time. So the morning, having a believe walk for me, if you want to go on your own, whether it's 20 minutes or an hour, that's really just a feel thing too. I don't book anything until 10:30 at the earliest in my calendar. Most of my meetings would be 11. First meeting would be 11. Movement Makers and Brandlytics, I'll start at 10:30. And before that, there's nothing officially planned or scheduled, so that it gives my morning free to do whatever I want to do. And so if I want to go for an hour-long believe walk instead of 20 minutes, I can do that. because I'm thinking, because I'm brainstorming, because I'm going through an idea. I treat that as walking meditation. If you like to meditate. I mean, it's the same thing. I just find meditation doesn't really help me that much. I like something a little more active, so I go for my belief walks. Do those two things. Put on a playlist, put on music every morning with lyrics that inspire you, and then go for a belief walk. 20 minutes to think about what you want to do today, what you want to accomplish, how you want to spend your time, where you want to be intentional, so you can start living the life that you want to live. Because the only thing that matters is how you feel about yourself. Are you proud of you today? Are you happy with what you've done today? Are you joyful in how you showed up for you today? And yes, we ultimately want to serve and help others, but the only thing that matters is how you feel about yourself. So we can stop relying on external validation and somebody else's words of affirmation for us to feel worthy, and flip it to say, I am worthy. I am amazing. I can do great things. And when you can shift into that energy, you will do great things.
The beautiful thing about monk life is half the day is self and half the day is service. That's how you're taught to live.
Okay.
So the morning hours are for you to fill yourself. It's almost like putting on mental, emotional, and physical armor. Like that's what a morning routine is. Our days are tiring. Our days are busy. Our days are draining. Well, guess what? If you didn't put your armor on in the morning and you're going out to battle, how many knives are going to cut you? How many swords are going to pierce you? How many wounds are you going to come home with? How many of you come back home feeling wounded? I come back home feeling wounded sometimes.
Often.
But guess what? If you put your armor on in the morning, a warrior would never go out onto a battlefield. And life can be a battlefield. Work can be full of conflict sometimes. Your relationships can be damaging sometimes. Your friendships can be toxic sometimes. So we are warriors in one sense.
Sure.
And so without wearing that, so for me, a morning routine is putting on emotional armor, which is meant to protect you for the rest of the day. And that way, even if you do get pierced, or you do get popped, or you do get cut, you're protected. And I know that when my morning routine is at its best, I feel protected.
I know exactly.
Whereas when my morning routine is weakened, I feel weak. And so for me, the morning routine, as I get strategic about it, there's two principles you have to know. Location has energy and time has memory. If you do something in the same place every day, that place now holds that energy. And this is huge, like it's just so big, and I'm grateful for that reaction because people don't realize how powerful this is. Like when I meditated in temples that were 5,000 years old in South India, it was easier to meditate because people have been meditating there for thousands of years.
Wow, it's so good.
And so when you find a space in your home, and even if you got, like I lived in a 500 square foot apartment in New York 4 years ago, and I just had a tiny corner which I dedicated to my sacred practices. So if you don't have to have a big home to do this, you don't have to be wealthy to do this, you can find just a corner in your home that you dedicate as your meditation space or your reflection space. So first thing, location has energy. Second thing, time has memory. And this is something that people underestimate. When you do something at the same time every day, you remember it and time remembers it. That's why we struggle to work out at different times every day. It's why we struggle. Like, why do we feel hungry at the same time every day? Generally, we feel hungry at the same time. Most people, if you've got a regulated diet, you will feel hungry. You will feel tired at the same time every day. You will look towards that Coke can or that sugar or that chocolate bar at the same time every day. And so when you're meditating at the same time, if you're exercising at the same time, so what I recommend to people is your morning routine needs 4 aspects, and it's simple, and I call it time. It's about making time in the day.
Okay.
So time stands for T-I-M-E. T stands for thankfulness. There needs to be, even if it's 5 minutes of thankfulness, of gratitude every single morning, and that has to be gratitude that's specific. It can't be gratitude that's generic. So generic gratitude is something that anyone could be grateful for. Oh, I'm grateful for the sky. I'm grateful for air. I'm grateful for water. That's cool, but it's generic gratitude. Specific gratitude is I'm grateful for the fact that I have someone calling me this morning. I'm grateful for the fact that I can still call my parents. I'm grateful for the fact that I have this person in my business who is having such an impact. I'm grateful, it's specific.
Specificity.
Yeah, so thankfulness. Second one is insight. I think this is one thing that a lot of people are missing, which I recommend people listening to you. It's like podcasts, books, and make it easier for yourself. If you get this book, leave it open on your bedside table. Leave it open on your kitchen table. Leave it open on your dining table. I guarantee you will read more, and what you read will speak to you. And I think people underestimate that literally, like when you have it open and you'll just flick to a chapter randomly and you pick up one line, it will impact you and it will speak to you. So insight, you need insight every day. M is meditation, and I believe meditation is different for different people. As monks, we did walking meditations, we did beach meditations, we did visualizations, we did breath work. Find your meditation practice. I give a ton in the book. And fourth, obviously exercise, which you can speak to even more than I can. I exercise to keep fit. You look amazing too, though. But it's an exercise. Everyone needs to find 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day of exercise.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For practical steps to reprogram your mind, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Step 1, manifesting according to science. You got to claim what you want and tell the truth. So let's say that step 1, I want to train for and I want to complete the New York City Marathon. That is a bucket list item for me.